afterwards where you are able to ask some questions. So we'll definitely leave some time for that. So my name is Ashley Stone. I am the co-founder of the Village app, and I am actually born in St. Paul. My maiden name is Holomis. Some of you might know my family. A lot of my extended family definitely still lives there. And so I spent my first 3 years of my life in St. Paul, and definitely go back usually around this time of year, usually around Christmases is when we used to go back a lot. So today's agenda, the purpose of today's meeting isn't to have a deep dive into all the bits and pieces of how things are working. I don't want to overwhelm you with information kind of on the first go. So this is really just to give us a kind of dip our toes into what is going on within your community, what the rural renewal stream is. I'll do an introduction about the Village app, give you some examples of how your organization could use it or how you can use it as individual. And I will also leave that period for the question and answers afterwards. So a bit about the Rural Renewal Stream. It is a government-funded initiative. It's essentially a designation to certain communities that get this Rural Renewal Stream designation, and it allows them for extra support and extra funding to attract newcomers into particularly rural areas of Alberta. And this is the idea to retain these newcomers into their community and really help meet the labor demands across the province by kind of bypassing some of that red tape and making sure that these people who are coming into the community really feel like they belong and really want to stay in the community because they have developed that connection to people and resources. We know that the number one reason why anybody stays in any community is because they feel like they belong and that they have roots within that community. So when someone is moving to a new area, there is a lot of elements that go into place to make sure that their adaptation and integration into the community is smooth. And part of that that we're working on is particularly the community resource piece. So along with some other community partners like Portage College and the St. Paul Economic Development Alliance, all working together to make sure that these people who are coming to the community really feel like they belong and are connected immediately. So if you have questions regarding the Rural Renewal Stream, about STEP's involvement, about Portage College's involvement in this, I am not the person to answer those questions, but in the follow-up email, I will definitely include their contact information, and they can answer those questions for you. So really what I am focusing on in my role in this is through the Village app, so those community resources, and this is through a community toolkit so that newcomers to the area can automatically see what resources they have in the area. And it's also allowing you as an organization to coordinate with other organizations. So even if you're serving the same demographic or population, that maybe you're not duplicating services, or you're sharing your different knowledge and different skills across the board. We know that a lot of community organizations do amazing work, but sometimes work in silos and don't really know what's going on in the other organization. Locally, we've heard issues. We have several kind of food resources, and sometimes a particular food resource has too much spaghetti and the other one has too much tomato sauce, and never the two shall meet because they don't know about the specific work that they're doing or the surplus of items they have. So this is the Village app at a glance. Like I said, we're not going to go deep diving into kind of all the nuts and bolts of how each button works. We will be doing that in January with a formal onboarding session, but this is just to give you a glimpse of how the app works. It is an app. It either lives on a mobile device or a tablet, so whether that's an iPad or an Android tablet. The real thing that is different about how the Village app works is that there's a clear call to action. So you come to the Village app because you have a need, you have something to give, or you want to let your community know what's going on within your organization. So there's no room for what we call crowdsourced opinions. You're not going to come on here to share all the pictures of your staff holiday party. You're not going to come on here to, figure out where the best restaurant is in town. You're here for a specific reason. So, and I will give examples of this in the next following slides. And we aren't based. We have no likes, no comments, no algorithm getting in the way. So the way current platforms tend to work is that they're really based on your engagement. So how somebody engages with that platform depends on what they see. The amount of people who like a post depends how many people get to see that post. How many people comment on that post gets bumped up so it's more visible. So if you're putting out content and nobody's liking it and nobody's commenting on it, then nobody actually gets to see it, which is super unfortunate when you've spent all that time gathering those people and putting out all of that great, graphics and content. For newcomers specifically, they can find people in their area using the friend finder. So that could be a neighbor they could find somebody maybe who speaks a similar language or has a family composition that's the same as them. And this is also where they find up here in the nearby organizations is where they would find the local organizations. So if a newcomer family is experiencing issues with finding food, they would be able to find the food bank in there. Or if they're a part of a particular religious group and they want to find which church might fit their needs, they would be able to find them all in here and connect with them. So each organization will get its own profile, and you will be discoverable through this nearby organization. And you will be able to interact with your community the way you choose. These are what we call circles, and they're essentially like groups. So this is how you organize your community. So if, let's say, you're the food bank, who unfortunately I hear is having volunteer issues today, you might have a circle that says volunteers, and you could communicate to that database of all the volunteers that you have saying, hey, 5 volunteers didn't show up today. Is anybody available? So that real tangible call to action that somebody will get that immediately to their phone. It doesn't require them to be scrolling on Facebook or looking at their emails. It's an immediate pop-up saying, hey, what's happening? Maybe you have a moms group and you want the moms to connect with each other. And so you can pop them all into a circle to say, these are all the moms who attend on Tuesday. So, connect with each other, get to know each other. The real goal of the Village app is to actually get people off their phone and interacting in real life. So there are the 3 main actions within the app. And so that's your offers, your requests, and your events. And it's just done through this little middle button down here. And you fill out essentially a form. It takes about 30 seconds. If you can text, then you can create an offer. It doesn't require the hashtags and the graphics and all of that to send it. It takes about 30 seconds once you know what you're sending out. So some examples of this, and similar to what it would look like that somebody would receive if the town of St. Paul wanted to send out an event saying that there was something happening within the community that week, they could send that out to the people that they choose, so those circles or groups, or they could actually send it out to the wider community. So just a radius of everybody in the community to say, here's what's happening. They can have a link to say that we are, find more information here. Events can be these traditional events, like we're having a fundraiser or a winter coat drive. They could also be events such as the power has gone out in our building, so our program is canceled for today, or there's an accident in front of the building. We can't accept anybody. Those kind of all those FYI things that you want people to know who are connected in your community, then that is what you would send out an event for. You can also create, this would be an offer. So if the food bank wants to say, we had way too much cereal and we need to give some of that out quicker because it might expire or what have you, they can send out that offer. Now, by sending out that offer, they can send that out to the individuals in the community, but they can also just choose to send that out to organizations who also deal with food insecurity. And so it's just going organization to organization versus organization to individual. And then if I was an organization who received this offer, I would then just click that I would like it. So I would say I'm available. They would get a direct notification saying so-and-so has accepted your offer, and then you can connect with them. If you're unsure about what they're offering, or maybe you can only accept half of it, you can always just message them directly that way. This is an example of a request that an individual might send out. So maybe a new mom, she's out of diapers and she just needs a few. So if I was maybe her neighbor or somebody who lived near her, or even an organization who provided the services, I could click on the available. She would then get that notification. Anybody else who got this notification would then see that it's been answered. So it's not a constant being like, is that still active? Is that not? It would be closed and accepted up here, and everyone would be aware of that. And then this is just another example of an offer of somebody wanting to offer more of an individual to an individual of some offers that you could send out. So some people, when we talk about this, they kind of think that this is another platform that they need to maintain, that this is going to take a lot of resources, and who's going to do this? And so is this just another platform? And the short answer is no, it's not. We are not engagement based. So whether you create an offer, request, or an event every day, every month, twice a week, your audience stays the same. It doesn't require you to essentially keep feeding this monster to make sure that you maintain the eyeballs of your audience. Your audience is always there, and you always have access to them. That being said, you might want to curate your audience. So you might want to, say that only this particular message is relevant to my volunteers. Only this particular message is relevant to the newcomers. So you get to, and that's where those circles come into play. You get to curate who you send to what. And it's very, very simple to pop people in and out of different circles. And most social platforms, despite, doing your best lip syncing and song and dance and having all of those things that seem to be on trend, only 3 to 9% of your audience actually gets to see that. And if nobody engages, it just falls off and nobody else gets to see it. So it's really time consuming to put all of that out there sometimes. So again, this only takes about 30 seconds, and there's no room for negativity. There's no comments. So I've seen counties and cities post, all the good work that they're doing in climate action. And then there's about 10 comments of why they're not addressing the unhoused population. So not helpful, and really puts a negative connotation when the city is just trying to highlight some of the good work it's doing. So again, just a little bit of a side-by-side here. So we're intention-based. We're focused on tangible action. We really want people to build relationships in real life. And through all of this, we'll be generating data. And the data we're going to be generating will be used for collective impact. It's not used to advertise. It's anonymized. So it's not Sally down the street is asking for food. It's these 30 people in this particular area seem to always be asking for food. How can we better support them? These particular people in this area don't seem to have transportation. How can we support them? And this view over here is just a little view of how you might send it by radius versus by circle. So the opportunity about joining this project, first of all, the county has paid for seats for all the organizations that is deemed. So it's completely free for everybody to join on. You have an opportunity to enhance the living experience of newcomers and residents. This isn't just going to be just for the newcomer population. It will be rolled out to the county as a whole. You get to officially share resources. So whether that's, sharing about your programs, whether that's sharing resources amongst different organizations, it's not scrambling to try and find who's doing what and what's going where. And we know that a more connected community has better health and safety, because when you know your neighbor, you are able to check in on them and better able to support them. And being connected to people is huge for our mental health. It also increases the retention of newcomers. When someone gets to come to a new community and feel like they have all the resources at their fingertips, it's super beneficial. I feel rather connected in my community, but drop me one city over and I have no idea where to find anything. So I couldn't imagine dropping me in a totally different country, how intimidating that could be. You also get a feedback into features of the app. So as you're using it, if you say, I really wish it did this, or this would really solve my problem, you get to tell us that. We get to take that and hopefully, make that change to make it even better for you. And then you also get to be a trailblazer in your community, saying, oh yeah, that, I was on that, we were on that, we started that, and seen as kind of a bit tech forward there. So the process that we're going through this pilot is starting with the organizations. So we'll be onboarding some organizations. If you haven't already filled out the form or haven't received the link to the form, please let me know. I will be sending it out to everybody. But the goal is to get all of the organizations onboarded by mid-January. And all that means is you filling out that form. And I do, it's a bit of a manual process right now. So on the back end, I create your profiles and then I will send you an email saying or your profile is now created and here's how to access it. So that's what we want to be accomplished by mid-January, is having all of those stakeholders on board. Once we have the organizations onboarded, we'll do an onboarding session, and then we can move into the newcomer onboarding process. This will be assisted by the CELP program through Portage College, where there'll be a touch point so the newcomers can understand where to find these resources. It will be obviously all in the app, all in one place, super easy. And to qualify through the rural renewal stream, they had to have a certain level of understanding of English. So we know that shouldn't be a problem for them either. And then once those systems are rolling, we're going to be rolling through to the wider community, so the residents in general who are currently living in the county. Now, that doesn't mean that if you are onboarded as an organization that you can't start, if you have perhaps a mom's group or your group of volunteers, or maybe it's your congregation or whoever, that doesn't mean that you can't start pushing it out to them if you feel comfortable. This is just how we're rolling, but if you want to use it for your community, you get to do that. So just a little bit about me and my co-founder. I'm a public health nurse of the last 14 years. I've seen firsthand people coming into my office and not knowing where to find any resources, and kind of having to be that go-between, and sometimes not even knowing all the resources myself. But the real idea for the Village app came through when I had a surprise third pregnancy that turned out to be twins. My oldest at the time was being diagnosed with autism. My mom was diagnosed with cancer, and my husband works out of town. So I just really needed a lot of hands-on support. I wasn't aware of any resources that could help me in my community, and I just needed actually a lot of peer-to-peer support. I had a lot of people offering me help, but not a great way to ask for it, not a great way to access that help, and the traditional methods just weren't working. My co-founder, Karen Olson, she's has 25 years plus experience in building startups. She's in a different life stage than me, but she is dealing with an aging parent. And when I came to her with this idea, she was feeling the need for her own village, with dealing with a mom with dementia and all of the issues that can go on with caring for somebody. So just some key takeaways. This doesn't demand ongoing maintenance. You're not having to constantly post for it to for you to stay relevant. It's driven by intention, so emphasizing those tangible actions. We are facilitating genuine relationships of face-to-face. We're not trying to grab more of people's attention and keep them more isolated on your phone. This allows for micro volunteering opportunities. So while someone might not be a formal volunteer within your organization, if you put a call out because you need a fridge delivered from one side of the town to the other, someone might be able to pick that up who has a truck, and that just allows to have that touch point. Our goal with this particular pilot will be to help establish newcomers and make sure that they feel welcome and want to stay within your community. And then those resource sharing, whether that's to the wider community or the organization to organization. So that is that. I'm going to exit out of this.